Hello, ladies and gentlemen, fellow YouTubers, me-tubers, outer-tubers, inner-tubers. Welcome to Walking with Beau. Once again, it's about 74 degrees. The air is dry, comfortable. After 2 or 3 days of warm and humidity, which I've been walking at night. So now we are walking in the daytime. So I hope you're going to have a good weekend this weekend. And we are going to have a lot of fun shooting tomorrow. We're going to have the Henry Homesteader 9mm carbine, as well as the Walther Colt 1911 and 22. That should be fun to shoot. On the Henry Homesteader, my brother installed the rail for the Henry Homesteader, and put a 6-hour Romeo 5 red dot on it, which will be nice. Now the Walther 22 Colt is a very nice pistol. It's a classic. It's been around for many years. It's tried and true. It works. And it's made by Walther instead of Colt, but it's licensed officially by Colt, which I believe is the only 22 1911 company that Colt has licensed for that. Walthers are made very well, as you may know. So that's going to be fun to shoot tomorrow. I'm going to shoot my Canik 9mm tomorrow, and my Ruger PC9. We also have a ton of water jugs to shoot. That'll be fun. That will be nice. Got a beautiful day today. And because I'm not walking at night, I have the camera back on my head instead of my chest, because this has the stabilizing horizontal leveling type thing. As soon as I stop stepping in holes, you can see it's a beautiful day today. So we're going to go out and enjoy it. soon as I get past this person up here, talk about a few things. It always feels funny walking by people and I'm talking, because they have to find the camera to understand I'm not talking to myself and I'm not talking to them. So hello. Nice dog.
Thank you. She's a good girl.
All right, had to readjust the camera because my hat had readjusted itself, and as suspected, I was filming too much of the ground. So now we're squared away. Excuse me. So anyways, I'm sure you've heard about the debate last night. What a friggin' disaster. What a disaster for Joe Biden. They're trying to do damage control today. They have Biden speaking at a rally, and he's got a teleprompter, and they got him jacked up on something, and the Democrats are issuing film clips from today's rally that Biden did to assure everybody he's okay, but everybody saw what they needed to last night. I really thought that this was a setup because they want Joe to resign, and I thought CNN was in on it, and it looks that way, but you never know, because when you start examining things more closely, like everybody's talking about Gavin Newsom, they're going to slip in Gavin Newsom, and Biden's done, and well, that presents a lot of problems. One, Gavin Newsom's not going to do that. I guarantee you he's not. Reason being is you have to understand how politics works. Everybody in place right now is Biden's people, Biden-Obama people. Gavin Newsom is not associated with that group. He has his own group of people he would put together. And right now the polling is so bad, there's not enough time to campaign, really. And Gavin Newsom does not have a good record himself. He's in trouble in California, and he's been spending a lot of time trying to fix that. The public isn't happy with him in California. This absolutely would not be a good time for Gavin Newsom to jump in as a band-aid on a campaign. So I just don't see that happening. Because basically, you jump in as a band-aid and you run and you lose, because now you got this mess with Kamala Harris and other problems. There's donors that donate to Biden and Obama, probably would donate to Newsom. Newsom doesn't have all that stuff set up because he's the governor of California. He would have to get a replacement to replace him in California, step aside from his duties and abandon his state. Then you have the donor issue, and then you have the Kamala Harris issue. Now, Kamala Harris is not liked even by Democrats. Polling has shown that. She's at historic lows. On the primary stage, it was the same thing. I don't even think she had 3% of the black vote, and she's black. She's not well liked. She uses the same rehearsed public speaking lines over and over again, and apparently she's too numb to understand that people notice, and she looks foolish. And she would have the same appeal that Biden has right now, but for different reasons. Gavin Newsom has his eye on the presidency, okay? Everybody knows that. He wants to be in the White House. But he's not going to do it this way, because what happens if he loses? Which he probably would. What happens then? Seriously. He's not going to be able to run again later. That didn't work out for Hillary either. So, you know, he's not that special kind of politician, someone that can do that. The only thing he has going for him is people know who he is. But at the same time, that's a negative through a lot of the country. He looks like a slick talking used car salesman. Justin Trudeau 2.0. Oh, the liberal ladies will love him. Virtue signaling white liberal females. Yep. They'll like that. But he's not going to take a chance of ruining his chances for the White House as a band-aid. I just can't imagine seeing that, and a lot of experts seem to believe that too. And you know, because he's eyeing 2028, and you very well may see for 2028, and you may see Gavin Newsom against DeSantis in Florida. That might literally be the matchup. So DeSantis, I think he understood that Trump was going to be the nominee, and he cooled his jets on insulting Trump. But DeSantis is also eyeing the White House, obviously. He tried his hand at running, and we're going to see him. Whether Trump wins or loses, DeSantis is going to be the candidate for the Republicans in 2028. Everybody knows that at this point, or at least you should know that. The Democrats don't have any prominent people. If they did find a Democrat to temporarily slip in because Joe resigns, they're going to have to be somebody that black people like, because they're not going to be happy about Kamala being thrown in the garbage by the DNC. A black female, okay? She's the vice president. They don't want Kamala to be president. They don't. Because then they won't have their candidate that they can control. And Kamala Harris, as I stated, is not liked by their own voters. And she's easily discredited. So, it'll be really interesting. Starting to look like the Teamsters Union might be backing Trump for the first time in decades instead of the Democrats. That would be a huge blow to Biden. How you doing? Well, anyways, beautiful church. So yes, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, they would have to find a sacrificial lamb, I guess. Somebody who would be willing to throw themselves under the wheels and pretty much if they ran and they lost, their career would be done. But you have people that I think would be willing to do that for the Democrats. Bernie Sanders would be one. He's 82 now or something like that. But he's got his wits about him. His mental age is a lot better than Biden's. And he knows how to do public speaking. He knows a lot of people in the party, but he's not a fan of the DNC. Every time he's run for president, the DNC has cheated to get him out, and he knows that, and he was very vocal about that, which the DNC did not like. And the DNC is very incestuous. They reward their own for being loyalists. Going back to Hillary Clinton against Obama, Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine is another one they might roll out to sacrifice for the party. And, you know, they're in a pickle. This is not an ideal situation for them because, you know, anybody that they get is probably going to lose, because I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win at this point. And the Democrats today are trying to pretend like nothing happened, and they're all reposting images from the rally Biden did today where he's reading off a teleprompter, and he's doing that angry thing again. Now, if you know anything about anybody that's got dementia, when they get angry, they're more focused and can think. And that's what they were doing today. So every time you see Biden now, he's going to be angry and upset about something. But it's just funny that the media has been running cover for him, and the Democrats have been running cover for him. Everybody has noticed his decline, and they keep covering for him. Well, last night he had an honest debate with no teleprompters, and America got what it got. He's lost. And Americans saw what they needed to see last night. It was a very highly viewed debate. The first 20 minutes to a half hour of it had its highest viewing, and that's when Biden was his worst. So he started to get his wits towards the end of the debate, but the damage was already done. And what was really interesting was the poll that CNN did after the debate, asking people that watched the debate whether or not, well, actually they asked who they thought won the debate. 67% said Trump, and 33% said Biden. So the other quick poll that they did was, after the debate, they asked people who they were going to be voting for, Trump or Biden, if those were the two candidates to choose from. Of course, we're going to have RFK on some ballots in the country, not all of them. And Trump was 62%, I think. 33% of the was for Democrats. So that's your 33% that are, I'm gonna vote blue no matter who. Biden could be a dead body in a box and they would still vote for him. That's just the truth of it. They have been indoctrinated and taken over. But, you know, that's a democracy. They're gonna learn the hard way that that's not, you know, that's not what you should do. And, you know, if it was the other way around, Republicans would try to defend Trump if Trump was doing the same mental things. But even the most staunch Republican would say, you know what, we need another candidate. So I was watching media pundits, Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid, the craziest, most far left pundits, and they were all saying that Biden's in trouble and they need a new candidate. So we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, it was really terrible. They're really going to push these, the rally that Biden did today, because he actually did sound a little coherent today. They obviously did. I think they tried a different kind of drug cocktail that they practiced with this week, and for some reason it was flat. Hi, doggies. Hi. Hi, babies. That whole gaggle of dogs in there. Oh, somebody's got a garden going. That's pretty nice. Cross over here. So, you know, like, what the hell, right? He had his teleprompter, which is a big one, and he doesn't use like a regular teleprompter. I mean, he uses a big one with big bold type on it. So a lot of people were wondering how CNN was going to do this debate, because they're trying to solidify and bring their name back to being trusted. And they're finding it to be very difficult. This was a big opportunity for them, and actually I have to tip my cap and say kudos to them. They came up with the system that they thought was going to screw Trump over, with the ability to turn somebody's mic off, which they did all night. They cut Biden's mic off after 2 minutes, and they cut Trump's mic off after 2 minutes. They did that equally. The questions were fair. Nobody got in an argument with Trump that was hosting it. And very good job. I was very pleased. I did not think Jake Tapper had that in him. Which is why a lot of people think that CNN was part of the setup by the Democrats to force Biden to resign. Because nobody can force the president to resign. The best they can do is the 25th Amendment, and Chip Roy of Texas is already introducing legislation calling on Kamala Harris and the White House Chief of Staff to declare Biden unfit for office and have him removed through the 25th Amendment. Now, you and I both know that's not going to happen. For several reasons. One, it vindicates everything Trump and the Republicans have been saying about Biden. And they're just not going to do that. They won't. In fact, Biden could die in office, and they would try to keep it a secret till after the election. I mean, I'm being facetious when I say that, but that's the mentality they have. And they're not going to remove their own president. The only way they would do that is if Biden had a medical episode, he had a stroke, could not fulfill his duties. And we have had a president before that had stroke problems. They kept it from the public. It didn't find out till after he was done. We had one that had to use crutches to walk with. So whenever he was in public, he was sitting down. Nobody saw that, because all you had then was people taking black and white photographs. There was no video, no internet, no drones, no nothing. So there was no social media to talk about it. It was easy to hide things then. JFK and his sexual affairs, didn't find out about that till years later. A lot of people suspected at the time, but there was never any proof. Nowadays, people would get caught. Reporters are everywhere, for and against the candidate. So, I was really happy with CNN, okay, I'll admit it. Because they used a split screen, and I noticed a couple times when they had the split screen and Biden was looking like he was staring lost into space with his mouth hanging open like you see with dementia patients, and they kind of cut away and made Trump full screen. But watching the debate, I noticed that that went both ways. They would have a double screen with Trump in the frame to see his reaction to what Biden was saying. And I think they tried their best. Jake Tapper did dive in once to save Biden by reminding him that he still had time to answer the question. So Biden wasn't managing time. He had 2 minutes. And you might say, you know, what's the big deal about that? Well, he's been rehearsing all week at Camp David. rehearsing his lines, as it were, okay? And they knew the format. They knew there would be 2 minutes. And I think he rehearsed 2 minutes, but he couldn't bring that out of his file cabinet live on the stage. He had a notepad that he had notes. He was keeping notes. Trump didn't have any notes. He didn't need anything. And that's what people saw at home. 2 completely different people, where Trump had his crap together, love him or hate him, and was able to converse. So the media today this is literally the whole news cycle today. Biden lost the debate, but he won on the issues. Okay, that's the take that they are pushing. So Biden won on the issues, but he lost the debate because it was a poor performance. That's how they're looking at it. They're going to push that teleprompter, Angry Biden today, where you can actually put a sentence together. And it's too late. It's just too late. So what does benefit Biden is that this was the earliest debate in history. And do they have time to recover from it? There's other debates scheduled. There's 2 more scheduled. So, you know, what's going to happen with those debates? This debate was scheduled early because poll numbers haven't been good for Biden. And they thought this was a good idea because they figured Trump was all wrapped up with his New York stuff and trials, and that he would be at a disadvantage and not be sharp. And they made a mistake. It's almost like they believe everything that the media says about Trump, and we see something different. So a prominent New York Times writer, propagandist, okay, New York Times is gone, it's not news anymore. The grand old lady's dead. Was saying that Biden needs to bow out. And so they're going to try to piece together and prop him up. We went through this with the State of the Union address. They had him jacked up on something. And you know, if Biden would have come out last night all jacked up yelling at Trump, I think they knew that wouldn't have helped them. So they changed his meds, and he is on some sort of meds, memory meds or something. But you know, and then after the debate started, the White House said that Biden had a cold. Well, they waited till the debate started to announce that. So obviously they saw his poor performance and issued that statement. So the Democrats are in a pickle because they can't just ignore Kamala Harris. She was a really terrible pick for VP. They picked her as a favor, and also because she's a black woman. It was a diversity hire. The Biden team thought it would be a good idea for black votes, even though black people don't like Kamala. They don't. That's been shown. Biden was very popular with black people for some reason, probably because he was vice president with Obama, the first black president. So I think those coattails just ran out last night. Yeah, it was very bad. And if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. And it's not good. But I thought CNN was going to cheat, and I thought CNN was in on it with the DNC because they want to replace Biden, which might still be the case. Somebody is, between now and the election, I guarantee you somebody is going to leak that if it is, as well as how much they're drugging Biden, which, you know, they are. It's obvious. I think they're keeping the records quiet, which they're not supposed to do. Anything that goes on with the president is supposed to be open to the public, especially after he's out of office. And if they did anything to hide that information, they've already been illegally changing transcripts on the White House website of speeches to get rid of his stammering and stuttering. They've tried everything to excuse him. That, oh, people have stuttering problems. Yeah, well, Biden didn't used to have a stuttering problem, okay? That's the point. He does now, because it's dementia. It's like, you know, come on, guys. So they're really trying to resuscitate something that was there years ago. And when he walked out on that stage last night, and he looked like The Walking Dead. He looked like a nursing home patient, because he is. And, you know, I really feel bad for him, because, you know, you have to be a compassionate human being. They're obviously using him and his legacy, and his wife is the one that makes those decisions. And they had a post-debate party. Biden was at it, and Jill Biden was literally talking to him like he was a child to the crowd. I'm sure that film clip has made its rounds on Facebook, X, and everything else. You've probably seen it. But she said, oh, you did such a good job. You answered every question right. And he's sitting there smiling like, really? I did, Mommy? It was really pathetic. It was like another example of what's going on. And then after the debate, CNN left the cameras on. I don't think Jill Biden knew that. She had to grab Joe Biden by the wrist and guide him down the stairs. He couldn't do it himself. And that was shown right on live TV. And they also showed Trump on the same shot. Trump didn't walk over and talk with Biden and stuff, didn't talk with Tapper or anybody, that Dana woman at the desk. He just walked off and left. Kind of like a B-52 that just dropped a whole bunch of napalm and it's on its way back to base kind of walk. He came in, nuked the place, and he left. So it's really interesting. Politics can be interesting, it can be frustrating, it can be maddening. Like, you know, everything's going great right now for Republicans. We had that Jamal Bowman. If you're not familiar with Jamal Bowman in New York, he is the congressman that was playing shenanigans in the Capitol and pulled the fire alarm. He illegally pulled the firearm, and he was charged with a misdemeanor. I think he got a fine for that. But he thought he was being funny, and he's going to play a trick on the Republicans during a voting session in the Capitol. Okay, it's a crime to obstruct Congress, and he's a congressman. So if he had been a citizen and done that, he could have got 20 years in jail, like some of these J6 people have gotten. But he was an elected Democrat, and he pulled that fire alarm in the Capitol, got busted. He was on security video doing that. Like, for some reason, he didn't think that would happen. He tried to make the excuse that he thought it was a, because they have these doors there that lock automatically. He tried to make the excuse that he thought that was the thing you pull to unlock the doors, because he wanted to go outside. Of course, nobody bought that. He's lying. I mean, you got a little red box that says pull on it, and you pull the handle down. Everybody knows what a fire alarm looks like, all right? So anyway, that didn't work. Now, he was considered one of the radical progressives when he was just campaigning for his primary, which I'll get to in a minute, in New York. AOC campaigned with him, and in the Bronx, to get him reelected. Well, a more traditional Democrat ran against him, older white guy. Somebody more sane, okay? He's not going to be ideal. He's still a kooky Democrat, but he's not a radical. He's not a Marxist. So that's why this was big. So Jamal Bowman got primaried by a challenger. He was a sitting congressman in New York, in the Bronx, which is supposed to be a guaranteed ride in the election. So what does that mean? Well, if you analyze it, what it means is, I'll get around to Toronto, Canada in a minute, because that's relevant in my opinion. So anyway, in New York, in the Bronx, Jamal Bowman, okay, is black. He's black. He just got primaried by a white Democrat who is not a radical Marxist. AOC is a radical. The people in New York are not happy right now with government, with immigration, with jobs, with not having affordable rent. Basically, it's living in New York City right now is freaking hell, okay, financially. You're back to the turn of the 20th century, the turn of it, in the early 1900s, where immigrants are sleeping 10 to 12 in a 3-room apartment because of space or rents or whatever. So a lot of young people are doing that. They can't afford to eat, they can't afford to pay their rent, they can't afford anything. And all they see is the AOCs of the world on TV wearing $3,000 suits, talking about how life is so hard for these people in New York, and then not doing anything. So the voters, primarily black, voted out the radical black man. That is huge. That is something we've not seen yet, and there's more of that to come. We're seeing blacks and Hispanics rebuke the Biden administration, who, by the way, even if Biden was coherent and was perfect, they're still not going to vote for him. That's what people aren't understanding. It's the independent voters that are driving this election like they usually do. There's more independents than there are Republicans and Democrats. So this is shaping up to be really interesting, because Jamal Bowman lost. It's not going to be contested. He's done. He's finished. He was one of those George Soros proteges who lost. That is really good. So, what does that have to do with Toronto, Canada, and Ontario? Well, they just had an election there for mayor and other local elections for the province in Ontario. And the Liberals got shellacked. They were shocked by it. They don't understand what happened. The Conservatives won mightily. It wasn't even close. It was a blowout. Why is that important? In Toronto, the last 13, I think they said 13 or 17 elections cycles, which is every 2 years. So Basically, for the last 33 years, Liberals have won across the board every election in Toronto. Toronto is like New York City. Well, this time they lost, and they lost big. The Conservative Party in Canada won a tremendous amount of seats, and this is spelling the end for Trudeau, because they're going to have elections coming up next month in July. And it seems to me, from everything I've read and seen, that people have had their belly full of woke politics, far left extremism, lunatics that are socialists, Marxists, the people forcing people out of their jobs if they don't go along with the gender ideology and all that stuff. People are tired of it. They can't pay their rent. They can't buy a house anymore. The food's too expensive. Fuel is too expensive. And, you know, they're already thinking about how they're going to heat their homes next winter in Canada. They got these carbon taxes raising the prices on everything. It's costing companies more on top of the already high fuel prices. Now they got to pay a carbon tax. So Canada is destroying itself, and I think the public is figuring it out. You think the media is bad in this country? It's even worse in Canada. They have a firm grip on everything. And I'll tell you, the key to the puzzle that really started this downfall for the Liberals was declaring a national emergency on those truckers in Ottawa. Everybody knew that has any common sense, they have a right to protest. They were not terrorists, they were not causing problems. And the government became authoritarian and fascistic, and it revealed itself to the public. That forced the government to show its hand, just like Donald Trump did in this country, forcing the system that has been corrupt for a while now to reveal itself. And I've said this on my walk before, if Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, we'd be a lot like Canada right now. The Republican Party would be a mere shell of itself. It would be on its way out. It would be going the way of the Whig Party. And Donald Trump came along and changed everything, whether you like the man or not. A lot of the reason why the Republican Party had a resurgence is because a lot of people can't stand Trump, including Republicans. There's still about a third of the Republican Party that absolutely hates Trump, because it's kind of like they don't want Trump controlling the Republican Party. They want their establishment uni-party back, with backroom deals, and enriching themselves in the background. Status quo. You know, they do good when there's a Democrat president, and they do well when there's a Republican one. But Trump is uncontrollable. They don't own him. So a lot of those Republicans have been getting primaried by voters. People are figuring this out. It's a matter of time. This election coming up in November could be one of the biggest ones our country's ever seen, because it looks like it's going to be one of the best years for the Republicans to win the Senate. And the Democrats are so loony, we may very well see people give Trump the House so they can actually get stuff done. You'd have the House and the Senate and the presidency. We may very well see that. Should be really interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And it'll be really interesting, obviously. What a time to be alive, man, really. I don't know what the hell kind of tree this is. Well, that's weird looking. Don't know what kind of tree that is. I'm gonna have to look that up. So anyway, it's crazy. So what I was saying is, it's like, what a time to be alive, man. We're witnessing history. Biden pretty much ended his campaign last night. And I think they did this to try to force Biden to resign. But he's not going to. He's not. And they can't force him to. Now, the DNC, in fairness, the DNC can choose who they want. But there's a problem. They're going to have to rely on their own polling. And it's going to have to be Democrat voters saying, we want Biden gone. It's the only way they can get away with it. And I'm not so sure they'll be able to do that, because you're always going to have that faction in your party, especially with Democrats. They're riding with Biden. And that's the group I said he could be dead in a box and they'll still vote for him. So you're going to have to tell those people that you're choosing a new candidate. Well, who are you going to choose? You know? Who the hell are you going to choose? And also, they're running out of time because ballots are going to be printed up, and what do you do about that? That was the problem they ran into Maine here when Shanna Bellows decided she was going to kick Trump off the ballot. She issued a statement saying that Trump will be on the ballot, almost like she knew that he wasn't going to be taken off it. And because she has her eyes on running for governor of Maine, and so this is something that she's going to use later on, saying I tried to get him off the ballot, especially if Trump wins. She'll say I tried to get him off the ballot, and the Supreme Court that Trump picked saved him. That's, that's how they play. So anyway, they would have to substitute a candidate, a sacrificial lamb, which they do have. They do have some. Tim Kaine used to be the DNC chair. He ran as vice president with Hillary. They always reward their own. And that was a reward for supporting Obama, like Tim Kaine did. And so that's what they do. So if they pick somebody, it's going to have to be somebody that the voters like. And they're basically going to be saying, okay, well, we have no chance of winning, So we'll just throw somebody out there because it's not going to be Biden. Or they could turn around and just leave Biden there and let him fall to his own demise, because you're not going to win with the voters. You're not. And the only way, I mean, you think about it. Let's just say for an example that, you know, Trump is sentenced and they sentence him to jail July 11th. The RNC convention is the 15th of July. What would happen if the RNC said, well, Trump's in jail, how can he run for president? We're gonna throw out Nikki Haley or somebody like that. How do you think that would go over with Republican voters? You have to remember that Biden is liked by Democrats. The old Biden. They feel sorry to see him look like this. But they understand that he can't be president. So you have to look at it through that lens. We're looking at it because we don't like Biden. So, you know, this makes perfect sense to us. But if it was the other way around and this was happening to Trump, we'd be upset because we love Trump, but we'd know that, you know, he's in rough shape and he should step aside. So that's kind of what the Democrats are at right now. They're going to wait. They're going to wait and see what the polls say in a week or so when they start getting feedback from the debate. If the poll numbers don't change that much, they're going to stick with Biden. So we're not going to know much until we see those. I don't know when those will come out. But the big one to watch is going to be independents. That's what you got to watch. Trump, because of his convictions, lost about 1% of the independent vote, which is a lot. Okay, that's, you know, it's not a lie. It's you know, just when the election's only 2% difference between the candidates in swing states, you need that 1%. So after a week, that debate might have given Trump the independent voters and then some on top of it, because I can't imagine independent voters, even ones that don't like Trump, looking at that and saying, you know what, I can stand another 4 years of Biden. You know nobody's saying that. So the poll numbers are going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. But I'll add that Trump's poll numbers before the debate were the best he's had yet. He was ahead of Biden. A couple of polls I saw, it was by a lot. If you're into the thing like betting organizations, there's one in Europe and there's obviously one in the United States through Las Vegas. Each one of them gives Biden about a 20% chance of winning the election. So, and that's because of his obvious cognitive decline. And last night's debate, well, that sent the entire Democratic Party into a panic because now they know the media has been lying to them. And it wasn't even freaking 3 months ago, Joe Scarborough was on MSNBC saying Biden was the sharpest he's ever been. He was great. There's no problems. And, you know, they haven't been showing their voters Biden falling on stage. They haven't been showing him with all the stammering and stuttering. They've been cleverly editing his speeches. And a lot of people, you know, like today, perfect example. There was some lefties online today that said Trump was lying about Democrats killing babies that have been born. And then, you know, I went and found that then Governor Northam of Virginia, he's no longer the governor, he lost to a Republican because he was another radical Democrat. On a radio interview he did, talking about, in the radio interview he was talking about if the baby is born with abnormalities, okay, through whatever reason, and sometimes happens with births, that the mother could be consulted with the doctor. And he said you make the baby comfortable and you consult with the doctor and the parent and you make an informed decision, and then you kill the baby after it's been born. He said that. That's made all its rounds through the conservative media. There's endless film clips that have been on for 3-4 years now, okay? It's nothing new. All of these liberals never heard of that. They said Trump, even CNN said Trump was lying at the debate. And now people are posting those videos. No, he wasn't. And he even said it at the debate. Governor Northam of Virginia at the time, he said it right at the debate. So the strategy by the media was going to be that if Biden lost that debate or Biden won that debate, it didn't matter. Automatically, everything Trump said was a lie. That was the default. It's been the default since 2015. Trump's lied 42,000 times when he was president. Nobody cares. How much does it cost for a freaking pack of hot dogs now? That's all people care about. Their lottery tickets and their cheeseburgers. Right now, people don't have money for those. That's the bottom line. They don't care if Trump's a liar or not. They could afford lottery tickets and cheeseburgers and also a milkshake with onion rings when Trump was president. So, all right, I gotta tie my shoe. My sneaker untied. All right. So that's where we are on that stuff. It's a mess. But Vivek Ramaswamy seems to believe that they're going to pull Biden, and this was a setup to have an excuse to do it. And he said prepare for absolute insanity over the next 4.5 months, 5 months, because that's what we're going to get. I think everybody understands that now. You might even see Kamala Harris being made president, but I still don't think they're going to do that. That would give her too much power. A vice president's kind of a token thing, more or less. They don't really have access to all the classified info like the president does. And they won't get that unless they're made president, which is why Biden should be prosecuted for having documents in his garage, because he didn't have authority to have those in the first place. So, anyways, I hit my camera, so I gotta check it. I'll be right back, folks. I gotta stop this. All right, we'll get that recording again. I had hit my camera, and I have it on a hat, so if it tilts to one side or goes too far to the left, then everything's cockeyed. So regardless, we have a mess. No matter how you slice it, they got the Kamala problem, And no, we're not going to see Gavin Newsom. The more I've thought about it and the more I've looked into how they do things, I don't see it, because, you know, like I said at the beginning of this walk, you have donors, you have this and that, you have people that have donated to the Biden campaign. There are different people than Newsom would use, and you know, Gavin Newsom is not pally-pally with Kamala. He's not pally-pally with a lot of the people that Biden has around him. Now, Gavin Newsom did go out of his way to promote Biden for the past 6 or 8 months, which is why people suspect that he might be stepping in. But I just don't think politically that would be a winner for him. He's got a future in the party. He is going to run for president someday for the Democrats. That's a given. But right now, California is a mess. He messed it up. It's not going to help him. People aren't going to say, well, geez, I don't want that for us. We're getting rid of that with Biden. So they have a problem. They don't have any prominent names. Now, going back to sacrificial lambs, they could sacrifice Elizabeth Warren. You know, she might be actually dumb enough to say yes and say, I'll step in for Joe, no problem. But Joe would have to, he's going to finish out his presidency regardless, okay? He's not going to resign. The best that would happen is that Biden would make an announcement and say, January 20th next year, there'll be a new president, I'm resigning. That he could do. Because then that relieves a lot of the pressure for the DNC. Now they can go ahead and say, okay, well, Biden announced that. Now we can push a candidate out there. But Biden's going to be president until January 20th. You'd have to have him as president. It would keep Kamala Harris from being president. And then you would have to have a candidate run at the same time Joe Biden is president. Hi, doggy. Hello. Has anybody ever seen that before? I've never seen that before. And I just don't think they would do that. I think the easy conspiracy way would be to say that they're forcing him out on purpose, which could be the case. It sure looks that way. Everything seems really convenient, but was it just CNN deciding because their ratings have been so bad? And the news media recently has been running cycles of Jake Tapper calling Trump Hitler last year, and also calling him Hitler when he was president. That's part of the reason why people aren't watching CNN anymore. It's just not cool to do that. So they're trying to resurrect the CNN title. They made staff changes, they fired people, and I just don't think they were going to take a chance of rigging a debate to screw Trump over. I just don't. And they played it straight. So because we haven't seen a media company play it straight in quite a few years now, everybody thinks they were up to something, which is what it looks like. Nobody's honest anymore. So when somebody's being honest, it's like, huh, what are they up to? That's too convenient. So today I saw a lot of Democrat voters and prominent Democrats on the internet bad-mouthing CNN for making Biden look bad. So Biden didn't make Biden look bad, according to these people. It was CNN. You didn't fact-check Trump. In other words, they wanted them to fight with Trump all night. And we saw what happened to Wallace, because he did that on Fox News. People don't like that. They just really, they don't. Americans want to see who they're voting for. If they don't want to vote for Trump because he keeps interrupting and being a jerk at a debate, well, that's democracy. So let's see it. Don't encourage it by arguing with him. as a moderator. So anyway, they got to see the real Joe Biden. No teleprompter, no help, nobody on there to bail him out, nobody talking in his ear. And he flopped. What are they going to do for future debates? You know, there's one on Fox News scheduled, and I think there's one ABC has. I could be wrong on that. But they would have George Stephanopoulos, who hates Trump. Fox would have probably Brett Baier. He seems to be indifferent to Trump. He doesn't really support Trump. I don't think he really hates Trump either. Whatever. That might actually be decent. And I think in this day and age, debates have changed. I don't think you can do real-time fact-checking because there's so much propaganda out there for all voters that if you fact-check somebody, you look like you're wrong. As I referenced earlier with, you know, the other thing too, Biden keeps talking about Trump saying very fine people on both sides. Biden kept going on about that in the debate last night. People coming out of the woods with Nazi flags and tiki torches. And Trump saying there's very fine people on both sides. Well, Trump never said that. That's been debunked. That got debunked literally last week. They waited a few years, but they finally admitted that it was, you know, debunked because people knew it was and they had to finally admit it. So Biden used that against Trump again last night. And CNN's fact checkers called out Biden on it after the debate, thankfully. They also called out stuff they said Trump was lying about. So I think people should just debate. They'll get the information after the debate. And I just think that's the world we live in now. And I think that's just it. That's the world we're in now. It's not like the old days. And the other thing is too, is normally a debate, whether Trump won or lost, it isn't going to swing the poll numbers. But everybody was watching last night to see if Biden really was incompetent. And they saw that for themselves. So, how much damage was done by that debate last night? I think a lot. I think we're actually going to see an influx, especially with independent voters. The other thing too is you do have some Republicans that are anti-Trumpers that said they were going to vote for Biden because they just will not vote for Trump. Where are they going to poll after this? Because they saw for themselves that Biden is not competent to be president. He's not. So what are these Republicans that hate Trump going to do? They're either not going to vote, which helps Trump, or they're going to vote for Trump. So it's crazy where we are right now, but that's where we are. Now, if you're a Democrat voter who is voting for Biden because you don't want to vote for a Republican, and then you see Biden this bad, which we knew, but they didn't see because the media kept it from him. And also the White House wasn't really putting Biden out there for the last 3 years. He would go 2-3 months at a time without giving a press conference. So they were hiding Biden. Well, cat's out of the bag. That genie's not going back in the bottle either. So even if he makes every speech in the future look just fine, he had a debate last night that mattered and he failed. What happens if that's one of those nights where, oh, Mr. President, it looks like Russians are going to do a nuclear launch. What do we do? I mean, you can't have that. So you need people that can make decisions. Right now his staff is, and I really think Biden just signs things. He signs the checks. He's checked out. He's, you know, Jill Biden is the president. Obama's team is running everything, with Obama orchestrating it. This is like Obama's third term. And he has said that before in the past, that he wishes there was a way that he could be president from a basement in his sweatpants, he said, or pajamas. He's actually said that. So is that what's happening? I don't know. That's conspiracy stuff, but it is Obama's team with Biden. Susan Rice and all these people. Our Secretary of State Blinken, associated with Obama. And now also we can't forget about Hillary. Hillary just had plastic surgery recently, and she's been in the news cycle as, boy, she's looking good, young and spry these days. And I saw the picture of her, and yeah, for her age, she looked all right. She went under the knife and had some work done. And they unveiled her at an awards show. Are they going to wheel her out for Trump versus Hillary 2.0? Everybody already is familiar with Hillary, which is why she lost. Would it be different now if you had a sympathy for Joe vote added in? Things to think about, folks. Things to think about. We're just going to have to wait and see. That truck had a bumper sticker. Biden sucks and Kamala blows. Not a fan, I guess. Anyways, almost time to change the battery. I think I'll do that in the shade up here. Getting warm out here. I think I'll do that right now, actually. Whew. Alrighty, folks. Changed out the battery. Good to go again. One thing I do like about walking at night is I can do the entire walk on one battery and still have 30% left. In the daytime, I burn through a battery in about an hour and 10 minutes on this setting for daytime, because it's doing more lens correcting, light correcting, auto balance. So I guess this whole thing is about what the hell are the Democrats going to do now? How are they going to package this and sell it to their voters? That's why I thought this was a setup for Biden, because it seemed like every single Democrat media person I saw said Biden's done and he needs to step aside. It's time for somebody new, something different. That was unanimous. The only person I saw sticking up for Biden was Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, ironically. So does that mean anything? We'll see. Are we going to see Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom on a ticket? I still don't think that's what we're going to see. But we'll wait and see, won't we? Right now, I couldn't tell you if the next time we see Joe, he's gonna have a freaking stick up his rear end, wheeling him on 4 wheels, taxidermied. I have no idea what they're gonna do. So, your guess is as good as mine, folks. We'll just enjoy the ride, but really at the end of the day, regardless, Trump is in the driver's seat right now. He's raising record money. Donors are seeing Biden is struggling. I think you're going to see the Teamsters Union back Trump, which would be the first Republican they back since probably Ronald Reagan or longer. I think we're seeing another big political shakeup in this country, like we saw when Jimmy Carter was done in the late 70s. I was a kid when that happened, but I remember it. And when I was a young person, like many young people, I was a Democrat. I voted for Bill Clinton. It's not uncommon in Maine. But when you're young, you don't know what you know now. And that's the problem we have right now with Democrat voters. There's a lot of young people that are more Democrat and more leftist than ever. So and you have to remember, because they're young people, they were mad at Joe Biden about Palestine for some reason. Biden came out and denounced Hamas and Palestine again because Trump accused him of it. And he said he was going to support Israel no matter what. So whatever Democrat voters were upset with Biden for supporting Israel, well, he just reassured their voters that he's not going to change his mind and they could still hate him for it. So he's got himself in a tough spot politically with their own voters. They're stuck. And, you know, it looks like this was planned and orchestrated to get rid of Joe, but it opens up so many new problems. I'm not really sure that's what they did. I think CNN just did an honest debate because they had to, because they're the worst rated news media company right now, and they're losing millions and millions of dollars. And I think they just said, we're going to play it straight. So it just might be a happy accident for Trump. If Biden had come out and performed well, then everybody would be saying something different now. They'd be saying, oh, well, okay, well, the debate was what it was. Both sides would claim they won. Democrats are still claiming they won, if you can believe that. Because they're not going to admit Trump won anything, okay? So Biden won the debate on policy, on topics. Trump was just up there lying about everything. That's what they're doing today. And so they're stuck. They're stuck. Don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to try to find out some information It is Friday. Might get the weekend news cycle. They're going to push that for the weekend because people are going to be at home at the dinner table talking about the debate, and whatever propaganda they're going to push is going to be today and tonight. And the other benefit that Trump had, let's say he would have lost the debate last night, or it would have been a tie or whatever. What's Trump still have to announce that would have stolen the media cycle? He would have named who his vice presidential pick was. So even if he would have had a bad debate, he would have announced his vice presidential pick, and it would have flipped the news narrative. But he didn't have to do that, so it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what the media news cycle is going to be this weekend. The more I think about it, I think they're going to stick with Biden because they have to. They can't change horses now. It's too late. They had a chance back in January. They had a chance. A lot of Democrats were calling for a new candidate and they ignored it. They stuck with Biden. They took a chance. And it looks like they lost that gamble. So now they're stuck. So I guess what I'm saying is if they did this to get rid of Biden, the timing of it's not good for them politically. It doesn't help them at all. It's actually really bad. So I don't think they did it intentionally. I just think that's how it worked out. They were hoping for another State of the Union. You know, because back in February, people were questioning Biden, and a lot of that was put to rest when Biden had a State of the Union and he had whole sentences together. So that kind of was like, well, see, there we go. He's fine. That's just conspiracy theory by Republicans. Well, now people saw for themselves last night, and DNC should have acted on that before the State of the Union. They should have sent somebody there and said, look, if we want to win against Trump, you need to step aside for the party. And I don't think Biden's going to do that. You know, this is his legacy. That's just the way it is, I think. All of this helps Trump, of course. So let's just enjoy it, see what happens. The big thing now is going to be July 11th with Judge Merchan, Juan Merchan in New York. 66% of Democrats want Trump locked up, according to the last poll I saw. Only 20% of Republicans do, which is the 20% of the no Trumpers, never Trumpers, I should call them. And those are the ones that might end up voting for Trump now because Biden was so terrible. So those numbers might change. I think Trump gained independent voters last night. So we'll watch what happens with the polls in a week. About a week's time. Won't take them long to come out with new polls. They'll have a poll within 24 hours, 48 hours, and then you'll have a weekly one. And it's going to be by the usual people that usually prop Biden up. They're going to try to make him look good, so keep that in mind. And we'll see. I know last night didn't help Biden at all. And it did not hurt Trump last night at all. He didn't come across as somebody bullying an old man. I thought Trump really tried to restrain himself. A couple times he got a little Trumpy, but for the most part he behaved himself, and I think that was a good look, because I had said that on one of my walks before the debate. I said Trump should come out and be presidential, throw them a curveball, because the only way Biden is coherent is when he's angry. So because he came out and was presidential, Biden couldn't get upset or angry, and we saw the real Biden. They were expecting Trump to do like he did in 2020 with Biden, where he kept talking over people, and that didn't help him in that debate. I mentioned that on my previous walk. It did not help Trump. So I think he actually listened to some of his people, and we saw something pretty awesome last night. Now Fox News, because they're lunatics, hosted a debate with RFK last night, because RFK was snubbed out of this debate, because realistically he's not even going to get 6 or 7% of the vote, and he would just be taking debate time from Biden and Trump, which is who people wanted to see. So basically they would ask Trump a question, Biden a question, and then RFK would have something, and he would start talking about vaccines and this and that, and nothing really to do with the election coming up. So anyway, he had his debate on Fox. I didn't watch it. Haven't seen a clip of it. Nobody cares. I don't think anybody watched it. So anyways, rock and roll, right? We're gonna have a good time, I think. That's a pretty dog. Hi. Nice looking dog.
Thank you very much.
Well, well, well. Beautiful day today. This was a really nice day to walk on. It wasn't too hot, wasn't chilly. I'll go back and have something to munch, take a shower. Crazy times. Well, we're coming up on the end of this walk. We watch a squirrel go across the road. Thank you for walking with me. Click like and subscribe. Share the video content. We're going to have some video coming up after this weekend. Should be nice. And as always, thank you for checking out the channel. Have a nice day, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.